Good morning, my name is Fernanda Martínez-Gálvez. I am a doctor in biology and I work at the National University of Salta and in the National Council for Scientific and Technical Research, both from Argentina. My dissertation is about restoration of overgrassed dry Chaco forest using topsoil translocation. Dry Chaco Forest is the second largest forest from Latin America following the Amazonas. On the right, we have a map where you can see the location of Dry Chaco Forest, and the majority of the Chaco Forest is situated in Argentina. It is a thorny semi-deciduous forest which includes a grassland matrix with a high biodiversity. The weather is extreme. We have 700 millimeters of precipitation that occurs during summer when the temperatures could reach 40 degrees Celsius, and in the winter the temperatures drop up to 2 degrees Celsius. Between 1972 and 2007, we have lost 43% of Chaco forest due to deforestation. In the remnants of Dry Chaco Forest, livestock breeding is practiced. These dots represent places with overgrazing at the northern part of Dry Chaco in Argentina. Livestock breeding is traditionally practiced in puesto systems, which are a kind of cattle ranches. A puesto consists in a group of houses, farm buildings, and artificial water sources to supply water for the animals during winter, when we have the dry season. And the livestock graze freely all over the puesto. As livestock moves between the puesto looking for water and the forest looking for food, a degradation gradient is created. This gradient is known as biosphere pattern. In these places with overgrazing, it's common to find selective grazing, trampling, soil compactation, erosion, and loss of soil nutrients, which decrease natural regeneration in the puestos, the cattle ranches, so vegetation gaps are created. The restoration of these vegetation gaps and the Chaco forest is an urgent need, and we can achieve this restoration using the soil seed bank because seedlings from the reference ecosystems might emerge. However, overgrazing might affect soil seed bank composition. For that reason, the restoration of these vegetation gaps might be achieved using topsoil translocation from the Chaco forest. And microsites for regeneration can be created with nurse plants or physical treatments on the ground. We aim to restore overgrassed places in Dry Chaco Forest, increasing the emergence of individuals from the soil seed bank. Specifically, we want to assess if there is a viable seed bank in the vegetation gaps from the puestos, the overgrassed places, to be used for restoration activities. And second, we want to restore overgrassed places using topsoil translocation and evaluate the effect of livestock exclusion, soil scarification, and nurse plants. Our study area is situated in Copo National Park at the northwest of Argentina, specifically at the southern part of the park, where it used to be livestock breeding in puestos system. In order to assess if there is a viable seed bank in the vegetation gaps to be used in restoration activities, we studied the seedling emergence from topsoil collected in the vegetation gaps. We collected 36 samples of 800 cubic centimeters of topsoil in 2 overgrassed areas following the biosphere pattern associated or not associated to nurse plant and before and after the onset of the rainy period, which occurs during summer. These samples were placed in germination conditions at 27 degrees Celsius with 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness, watering twice a week. After 2 months, we assess seedling emergence. We analyze the probability of seedling emergence according to the distance from the vegetation gap for topsoil samples collected under nurse plant or in bare soil using generalized linear model, and we found that seedling emergency probability increases under the protection of nurse plant at higher distance from the vegetation gap. Also, we represent the probability of seedling emergence according to distance from the vegetation gap for topsoil samples collected at the beginning of the rainy period and at the end of the rainy period, and using GLM analysis, we found that seedling emergence probability in the vegetation gap is greater at the end of the rainy period. We found out that herbs are the most abundant life form in the vegetation gaps. We analyze the probability of seedling emergence according to the life form. We consider woody seedlings, herb seedlings, grass seedlings, and succulent seedlings. And using GLM analysis, we found that herbs were the most abundant, followed by woodies, seedlings, and we didn't find any succulent plant. At the end of the rainy season, in the vegetation gaps, 1.02 more individuals emerged than at the beginning of the rainy season. We represent the result of the GLM analysis for seedling emergence according to the timing of topsoil collection at the beginning or at the end of rainy period, and we found that at the end of the favorable period, the rainy period, 1.42 individuals every 800 of square centimeters of topsoil emerged. In order to restore overgrassed places, we perform a topsoil translocation experiment in the vegetation gaps. Before the rainy period begins, we place 0.0125 cubic meters of topsoil in places with a protection treatment, nurse plant protection, artificial shade, branches protection, or a control area in places with topsoil scarification or no topsoil scarification. We repeated this experiment in 3 overgrassed places and specifically in areas with livestock interaction or with livestock excluded. After 50 months, we assess seedling emergence. After 50 months, the highest seedling emergence was obtained in places with nurse plant protection, soil scarification, topsoil addition, and livestock exclusion. We represent the result of split plot ANOVA of the seedling density according to the protection treatment in places with soil scarification, no soil scarification, with topsoil addition, without topsoil addition, and in our best treatment we found 5.5 individuals every 0.25 cubic meters. Herbs are the most abundant life form found in the topsoil translocation experiment. We analyze the probability of seedling emergence using GLM analysis, and we consider these 4 life forms. Following herbs, woody seedlings were the most abundant, and we didn't find any succulent plant once more. In conclusion, we found out that the probability of emergence of total individuals from the seed bank in the overgrassed places or vegetation gaps varies according to the biosphere pattern. Also, there is a greater probability of emergence associated with nurse plant, which could indicate that nurse plants act as seed traps and as perch or refuge for dispersed animals. Also, we found lower emergence of individuals at the beginning of the rainy season than at the end, which also indicate that there is no seed bank in the puestos. For that reason, the transitory seed bank in the areas of vegetation gaps does not present a source of seedlings to initiate restoration actions. The restoration of vegetation gaps, overgrassed puestos, is possible if we add topsoil from Chaco Forest to places with scarified soil and protection with nurse plant. All these activities performed before the onset of the rains. Artificial shade can be used if nurse plants are not found in the area. It is important to control the disturbance agent prior to start restoration actions. And finally, herbaceous and woody plants are the majority of the individuals emerge during the restoration experiment, so take into account to perform some complementary actions to increase the representation of plant community from the reference ecosystem. Finally, I would like to share a picture of our topsoil translocation experiment after 2 years and provide some contact information. Thank you very much.